One fellow, his name is Kurzweil, and this fellow is a fanatic of what is it? Of the singularity. Singularity is that point in technology, right? Think of technology. It is that point in technology where the robots kind of take over and they become a little more intelligent or more capable, you could say, in figuring out things than humans. And so now, because they have this great ability, right, that we kind of, imbued in them, that we programmed in them, now they take that and they develop even at a faster rate all this knowledge. And so now they can create new things that we can't even imagine or haven't imagined. And the robots just take over and they just keep growing in knowledge exponentially. That's the idea. It's called the singularity. The point at that where the uh, um, intelligence or knowledge starts expanding at an exponential rate that not even humans can catch up because the machines can do it better than us. That's the notion. Okay, and here we have his name is Kurzweil. There we have it. And what he's talking about lately is immortality. He says we're 7 years away from achieving immortality. Okay, so what is it? Kurzweil, immortality possibly reached as soon as 2030. Artificial intelligence is what will make it happen. AI, right? Kurzweil believes that our technological and medical progress will grow to the point that robotics, he dubs them nanobots, right? Little bugs that go into your bloodstream and your body in general, right? And they go after they're trained, program, whatever, to go after the bacteria, the viruses that cause harm in your body. That's the notion behind this. We'll work to repair our bodies at the cellular level, turning disease and aging around thanks to the continual work of robotic know-how. And then, voila, immortality. Okay, so good. We're at the doorsteps of immortality. Now, I've got first a problem with immortality. Okay, I would not like to be immortal. Okay, the thing that gods, the eternal gods, most envy in man is his mortality. Can you imagine being around for eons and eons and eons, not even being able to die? You stab yourself, you shoot yourself, and you can't kill yourself, and you're still conscious, and you see the whole thing over and over and over again. I don't think so. Another thing is like to say, well, I would like to live 200 years. That's different. Okay, but living an eternity, I don't think it's desirable. That's one issue. The other one is that if we allow everybody to live forever, we got a problem because the question now, what happens to the kids? Are we going to be producing more kids and just multiplying the population on the planet because the old don't die and the young keep growing? Do we stop having children? Give me a solution for that. Okay, that's where we need a solution. Not to say, oh, I want to be immortal. Well, that's you. But what does it do for the world, assuming we could achieve it, which is absolute nonsense. But that's a separate issue. But again, what's the goal? Are we going to overpopulate the planet until we're so many that we just fall off the planet? Whatever. Okay, and talking about nonsense in science, here we have another big nonsense in science. And it's people who think that the aliens are here. They're at least in our neighborhood, okay? And these are not people from the streets, the bums that just have an opinion. These are people supposedly that studied at least 10 years at the university and they have PhDs, okay? And here it is. Here's this fellow, comes from the news comes from two different sources. One is Fox News, says Pentagon officials suggest alien mothership in our solar system could send mini probes to Earth. And of course, in that article, they mentioned this fellow, which is also mentioned in Scientific American, astronomer Avi Loeb, says aliens have visited, and he's not kidding. The Harvard University professor explains his shocking hypothesis and calls out what he sees as a crisis in science. Yeah, and where did they get this idea? They found this cigar-shaped, cylindrical shape asteroid, you could call it, right? Coming towards us, and they said that because of its itinerary, it comes out of the solar system. And so they say, look, you're not looking at a rock. What you're looking at is some kind of spaceship or something that the Martians, the ETs, whatever, chipped off and sent to Earth. They have all these theories on what that rock is because it came out of the solar system, and they believe this is the first messenger that we get from another civilization. That's essentially what they're saying. It's the Oumuamua. Okay, so this is on the news lately. I don't know what to tell you. There is no way, and I'm on record for this. I've got a couple of videos on it. There is no way that life of any kind can travel interstellarly. I said it. Okay, I'm on record. There's no way that life of any kind can survive a trip that is interstellar. It's irrational to propose such a thing. And all these people, they're hoping that some bug travels on some kind of, cigar-shaped or asteroid or whatever, and comes to our neighborhood, and that's how life started here. They call it panspermia. That the bug crawled out of the rock, the vehicle it was traveling in, and then somehow, contaminated our planet with life. That's the general idea. And that somehow from here on, we'll do the same thing to someone else. We're going to send, or maybe when the Earth explodes or whatever, there's a supernova, any mechanism you can think of, then somehow these bugs, I'll call them bugs for lack of a better word, travel to another star system, and there they do the same thing over again with a planet which is predisposed to have life. That's the notion. And I said it's all garbage, nonsense, poppycock. No, life cannot travel interstellarly, okay? And I won't get into that here, but I do have a video on that, and you can look it up. It's the pioneers. What is it? Not sure what the title of it is, but it's got to do with the pioneer probes that went out of our solar system that we sent out there to maybe contact some other civilization or let them know that we're here, that sort of thing. Absolute nonsense. We'll never see or hear from another civilization in what little time remains for us here on Earth, and neither will they hear from us. When humans are gone out of our planet, nobody will even know that we ever existed. What's the purpose of life? To live day by day. So drink your beer every day, make sure you're happy, and you'll be okay. Nothing bad will happen to you. Okay, so here we have some problems that we've had that affect our global economy, probably. Give us a hint of what may happen with man's extinction, the possibility of extinction, the likelihood of extinction. UBS bought Credit Suisse. Okay, they went under the other day. Then they had a problem with First Republic, and they also had a problem with, the Silicon Valley Bank and what was the other one? Signature Bank. Okay, so some banks are failing. And the question is this a problem? Is this just an accounting procedure? Is this just a way to justify mergers? And it was the issue of whether the Fed should back some of these banks, like cover all the deposits. If the Fed should only cover up to 250,000, which is what the law mandates. Otherwise, you're sticking your hand in the pockets of, taxpayers to pay for something they didn't vote for, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of that going on. But the question is, you've got banks that are failing. And can you imagine a run on bigger banks, many of them all of them, uh, what would that do? I mean, imagine everybody just going out there and asking for their money. What are they going to give them? We don't even have cash to give everybody out there, you know. So let's hope it never happens, but I think it will. Okay, I don't know how soon, but I think there will be a run on the big banks, and that'll be the end of man, essentially. Because once money is no more, once money is gone, we don't have any faith in God anymore. You know, we become atheists in money. Then who will produce the food and who will distribute it, and for what? Why would they do such a thing? For your health? I thought they were in business for money. Okay, and this is gives you an idea how the federal lending to banks this week, according to this source, Investopedia, says that it even surpasses the one in 2008 financial crisis. You know, so keep in mind there's a lot of stuff going on in the banks, and they just try to keep calm. Everybody calm, saying, "No, no, you'll get your money. Don't worry. You don't have to rush to the bank and get your money out. None of that." It's a sound system. Why? Because imagine if they said the opposite: "Panic, panic, time to panic!" Ah, it'd be the end of man. No, of course they got to rude and they got to cheerlead. You know, that's what they got to do. Okay. Here we have another issue. Defense budget speeds towards 1 trillion with China in mind. Because of China, you know, the Pentagon is spending a little more money because they have to cover the bases out there in the Pacific. Okay, and so they have bases in every country, in Philippines and Japan and some other islands there. That's one issue. The other one is, you know, they need more ships to counter the growing threat, right, of China, which is putting a lot of boats underwater and claiming some of the waters to be, you know, belonging to the country and not international waters, and that sort of thing. And that's something for you to keep in mind as well, that in Taiwan, you know, the Straits of Taiwan, if China were to, you know, grab a hold of Taiwan, make it part of mainland China, the communist world, right? That strait would suddenly become not international waters anymore, but you know, those are our personal waters. Those are our country's water, because you know there's this limit on international limit on how those things are handled. You know how far from the coast your country still extends, right? And so if China would happen to grab a hold of Taiwan and Taiwan becomes part of the motherland, you know, China, then the Taiwanese Straits would be a private lake, no more international waters. So keep that in mind. That's one of the reasons the United States is a little worried about that. Okay, that happening. Not that it's going to happen anytime soon, but you know there could be an issue there. Okay, okay, and here's one problem that's out there. You know, the U.S. households are spending now a greater percentage of their incomes on rent. Okay, and so you know this. They said it used to be 30%, but now it's going over that. Okay, so it's a little worrisome, especially for people who are at the bottom rung of income. And maybe because of that, we have this. We have tent cities popping up in many cities around the country, around the United States. Not only around the United States, I see them everywhere. I see them, you know, I was in Buenos Aires and I saw them there in Buenos Aires, Argentina, tent cities. And I'm sure those are not the only two countries that have them. These tent cities are going to be popping up in many cities, and I'm not sure what the governments are going to be doing about that. You know, I mean, what are they going to do? Violate their rights to sleep on the streets? You know, kick them from one part to the other? I don't know. I don't know how they're going to solve that problem. It would be interesting to find out. Anyways, and talking about Taiwan a minute ago, here we have the countries that recognize Taiwan as a country. Okay, and the reason I bring this up is Honduras now changed its tune and says it's going to recognize mainland China as the real China and not Taiwan. it was forced to relinquish its embassy in Taiwan. And you can see there's relatively few countries. Some of them might switch around again because they'd rather have business with mainland China than with Taiwan, simply because of the volume and what it can do for their own countries. But the funny thing about this is that the United States was putting the pressure on Honduras not to sever ties with Taiwan. And it turns out that the United States doesn't officially recognize Taiwan. So it's kind of like a contradiction. Like, I'm sure in private the Hondurans said, hey, you guys don't recognize Taiwan. You want us to continue recognizing it? You know, it's like defeating the purpose. And I also was shocked, or not shocked, but surprised that Vatican has ties with Taiwan, and I guess it doesn't have with China. I didn't check, but I'm assuming that's the case. Okay, and finally another issue on the side, and that's that, Western sanctions have weakened the dollar's dominance as India buys Russian oil with other currencies, specifically with the ruble, the rubles. So they're exchanging rubles now over there, and or maybe bricks, for all we know. In other words, they're getting away from the dollar because for two reasons. One is the United States uses that as a weapon. That's the way they perceive it. And the other one is that, they really want to diversify so that they don't rely on a single currency for whatever reasons. And so there's other countries, Brazil and Argentina among them, that are talking about getting a new coin that will help commerce between those two countries. So they create a new currency locally. And that's so interesting because, it takes away from the dollar. And just in case, the dollar was not always around. Before that, it was the pound, the British pound. Okay? And so, and I guess in the days of the Romans, it was the dinars or whatever. So, yeah, money does change. And some money people like, some money people don't like. People don't like me paying for their things in Vietnamese currency. I don't know why. It's backed by the Vietnamese government, but nobody seems to want it. Or Argentine pesos. Yeah, so money is not money is not money. There's money and there's money. And there's money people accept and there's money that people don't accept. So what happens when the dollar becomes money that people don't accept? Can that possibly happen? Food for thought.